And I mean, it works incredibly well. So pace of growth in some of the segments of what we do actually will be much faster than just simply doubling, right? Because there is so much need for this. All you do is book in, there is Salmon sign, and then you just get process flow. That is app-based as well, yes, but it's a separate what we call the agent's application. It's close to the outside world, but it's a specialized instrument that allows the store owners to process loans and issue loans.
And what about deposits? You showed a very nice chart earlier, very impressive. Have you been able to carry on with a relatively high interest rate?
Yes. Yes.
Your equity is still growing?
No, we changed it to 6.5%, right? Because it's appreciated. I mean, we live in a very dynamic world, and I mean, the BSP was taken down, the interest rates as you appreciate, right? I mean, over the last 3 quarters, it's gone down by 75 basis points, right? And there probably will be more cuts, but I'm not sure about that happening in the current FX environment. But we'll see what the BSP decides. But still, I think so. The overall environment was one of the decreasing rates. And in the context of decreasing rates, what we said, listen, I mean, 8.88 was born what, end of this last year probably.
Actually, it was like February, March last year.
Yeah, February, March 2024.
So when did you start with the 6.5?
Just
In October.
But those were still honored. The
Of course.
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
It's for new customers who are opening.
Only for incoming customers, we just taken down the rate because the environment has low rates. But I mean, the numbers are more than simply sustainable because you look at the numbers Raffy has shown in terms of the interest margin for a business. I think if you just combine it, I mean, I think we are probably the fastest growing and the highest income or the most profitable bank in the country, full stop. I mean, some of the data for rural banks is not disclosed to the full extent, but I think in those two metrics for the data from what we've seen, I think we are both the fastest growing and the most profitable bank on two metrics, and that's actually quite unique about this.
But having an almost 50% net interest margin is a bit unusual, and some people would consider it a red flag even. Is it not? Does it not?
I actually strongly disagree with this premise. If you look at the best examples of credit-led neobanks, and we're building a credit-led modern bank, technology-centric bank in the country. I mean, that's what you have. At Tinkoff, for the last 6-8 years, we had ROE of 40 to 50% because that was the efficiency of the distribution model, right? And technology that came to power. Look at Nubank, look at Kaspi, look at Tinkoff. All of those have, I think, on average, return on capital, which is more or less equal to Max 7 companies in the States. And that's what makes it different. I mean, in terms of model, the technology-enabled credit-led institutions are able to achieve far superior return on capital than traditional banks. And I think that's what we're trying to strive for in the Philippines.
Sir, how about customer base? How many customers have you acquired so far, and what are your targets for this year and next year?
So we don't share our customer count at the bank. What we do share is last year we reached 1 million downloads. This time it's at 7.
No, 1 million now and 7 million total downloads. Yeah.
Yes. So I mean that gives you a sense of the customers we've acquired combined, both the financing company and the bank. I think the bank has been focused on people who are able to place 500,000 to 1 million pesos in time deposits. So it's been more about volume of deposits rather than depositor count. But when we launched the daily banking suite, that product is to service the needs of every single Filipino, regardless of what money they have to place. And I think that's when you'll start to see really growing customer counts as a whole for both the financing company.
And that's actually a critical point, right? I mean, so you should not underestimate the speed at which the customer base of the bank will be growing with the launch of daily banking, right? Because the 1 million monthly active users, what we have now is, I mean, those are credit customers. Credit customers are notoriously difficult to acquire, and we've gotten to 1 million in a very short period of time. But the moment you have a far easier product to offer to people, because it's easier to give out the debit cards, and you see our debit cards, and they will be extremely difficult to give out. So extremely easy to give out, right, to the credit customers. I mean, you'll see, I mean, a pretty meaningful change in the trajectory of the customer numbers in the bank.
Yes, sir, since you're growing very fast, are you interested in acquiring a higher license from the PSP? Maybe a thrift bank or a big bank?
So we continue to be preparing ourselves to apply for a thrift bank next year. So in terms of capital, we're already there. We meet the minimum capital required for a thrift bank, but we want to make sure we complete the key investments in people and in technology before we apply. So we want to make sure that the bank is ready to put its foot forward as a thrift bank, which is really nationwide scale and brings with it a higher level of attention. And so we want to make sure the bank is ready to meet all of that.
So when you say next year, first half?
Oh, it's hard to say.
2026.
Because there's so many products and services that we're going to be launching next year. So we're going to balance that. It's preparedness of the bank while also launching products and services at the same time, both in the financing company and the bank. So that, as a growing fintech startup, we do have resources that we need to make sure we're allocating efficiently. So it's not about going for speed to increase the license, but doing it when we're fully ready.
Under daily banking suites, when you mentioned it's part of times,
Yes.
what's the update with your application for advanced EPS?
So that's already been filed with the BSP a couple of months ago. I think end August. In August. Based on the different, it could take 6 to 12 months. Advanced EPFS takes that long. We have ongoing dialogue with the BSP, making sure we answer all the questions, provide additional documentation. So it's difficult to say. If you look at all the digital banks that have set up, they had to apply for an advanced EPFS at the same time, and that's how long it took them to get it. So I would say that to be a rough estimate of how long it would take.
Possibly early next year.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I think what's important is that from the technology side, we're ready. As a bank, we're ready. I mean, there is application that's been developed. There is lots of work that's been put into the engineering side. So by now we have hundreds of really talented engineers that are propelling the preparation forward. So it's really a question of just finalizing the regulatory dialogues. I think we've had fantastic dialogue with the BSP up to date, right? There was lots of exchange of thoughts and ideas, and many things that a rural bank wouldn't be been allowed to do back 2 years ago, we're actually now doing with the help of the BSP, right? So there is lots of progress on many fronts. I think there is like 1 or 2 other things, right? I mean, you mentioned advanced PFS. I think Swift bank license upgrades another important milestone that will be hitting next year. I know we as a group, as Salmon Group, will be bringing a lot more capital. I think that should be like set in our plans. And a lot more capital to the bank next year as well. So we want to really increase the share capital to a level where many of the new startups will be in our share.
So it's roughly 600 million pesos before the end of this year, which would take us to 1.4 billion in equity at the bank. And then by end of next year, we'll be at around 2 billion. So that's our rough estimate of what the bank needs. There's a lot more that the parent company, Salmon Group Limited, has to inject, but it's just you want to make sure that you're injecting it at the right time, as it's needed by the bank. So I guess roughly another 600 million pesos next year. Roughly. And if the bank grows faster,
at the very least,
if the bank grows faster, then we'll inject them.
Yeah.
So it's really dependent on the growth we're seeing.
What's your
We're a rural bank.
Rural, not digital.
We like to call ourselves a modern bank.
We're a technology-centric bank.
A modern bank. Yes. Because we use all channels. We have branches. We have an app. Certain Filipinos need face-to-face contact. We see that. both on the lending side and on the deposit side.
Yeah.
And so we want to be able to provide that. If you are a digital bank by license, you're restricted from having a branch, right? And we want to be a thrift bank where you're nationwide, you can have a great mobile app and a great branch network as well, and you don't have limitations on the channels you can operate. So that's the goal.
We will be better than digital banks on the digital side, but we'll have branches and personal contact and human touch, which will be very, and visibility and brand visibility. That's very different.
Sir, how digitally centric are you based on the tiers that the BSP has set?
We're one is that's still a draft regulation. Two, if I remember correctly, yes, and two is that right now existing customers are the ones who can avail the application. I think when that really starts to kick in is when you acquire customers new to bank through digital channels such as that, right? So I think we'll start triggering some of those next year when we have that digital daily banking suite that covers the needs of customers. But with high net worth individuals, a good share of them like relationship management, human touch. They want a call, they want a physical visit. So as a result, we're not triggering those thresholds yet.
But you're right. That's a fair question to ask. So we'll have lots of discussion with the BSP on this, right? I think what's clear is that by now, as a group, we are on, say, revenue metrics, right? As a group, so consolidated bank and financing companies, we are larger than probably the majority of digital banks in the country. The absolute majority of digital banks in the country.
And I think it's good to highlight that the highest threshold in that regulation, the main requirement is that you inject at least 1 billion in capital. We will be there at 1 billion before the year ends, before we even hit that threshold.
Yeah.
So we're really being prudent, conservative in our approach, so that even if we're assessed to be higher threshold, the bank is already ready and we've met the regulation. I think that's.
Sir, you once called your rates the luckiest deal in the Philippines. Do you still believe this?
I don't remember calling it that, but I think that we provide one of the highest. And as I mentioned in the talk earlier, and I was talking to a few partners and depositors actually at the bank. People wouldn't think of time deposits as part of a diversified investment portfolio. It's really primarily stocks, bonds, and maybe property. Some aren't. Time deposits was at the bottom option, right? So now time deposits are a huge consideration for people. You have large corporations and high net worth individuals placing deposits with us. We've doubled from Q2 to Q3 in deposits. So I think people are saying interest rates are great, and the way we acquire them, the way we support them is great as well. I think it's the combination of the two that makes it a great product.
But I like your question, about the luck, right? And I would actually think that people who have gotten in on the 8.88% deposits, they're the lucky ones, because as we just keep on rolling out the offering and building up the bank, it's inevitable that the rates will be coming down, right? So the early offering of 8.88 was something quite unique in the market, and I think for discerning people who would really just look at our cap table as a group and say, okay, so this is the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world, and this is the International Finance Corporation, and these guys are building a bank. So that was a very, very clear story for people who understood what Salmon is, the ultimate share, the parent of Salmon Bank. For them, that was a great financial decision. Now I think the offer on the table is 6.5%. I think it's inevitable that as we launch daily banking, these rates will be coming down further, right? Because we will be providing alongside with the deposit rate, I think a very deep functionality of what you can do with your product, payments experience, everything else, right? So the rates will be coming down further, but I think people who have been lucky, they have been lucky. There is still chance to get somewhat lucky. We started 6.5%, but that opportunity is fairly quickly evaporating as we speak.
And one thing I'd just like to highlight is that it's the convenience that is most important to customers, not the interest rate. We know that for a fact because we launched 8.88% in February 2024, but you've only seen this increase in deposits in 2025 when we built the sales machine to take care of customers from in each step of the funnel, right? So the main friction customers have in opening a deposit is accessibility and convenience.
So, do you mean the digital platform?
It's making sure that our
Because
salespeople,
you have 2 branches, right?
but we have a huge, I think, sales team.
That's how you made it convenient.
By being accessible through performance marketing, and then supporting customers or leads, interested parties along the way through telesales, and then having relationship managers visit them. That's helped us significantly grow. And then what's going to take us even further is having the ability for customers, new customers, to open their bank account online, which is something we expect to launch in the coming weeks. So I think that convenience is, I think, more important than
So now
interest rate.
they cannot yet do that.
No, existing
Alright.
customers can. Existing customers can.
But the new customers in the next few weeks will have a major announcement that they will be able to do full online KYC, onboard these new customers with Salmon Bank.
Okay.
And pretty soon, hopefully November.
Okay, so we have time for one last question. Or we're good? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
replying.